The granny square is a classic in the crochet world. I feel like it's one of the first patterns you learn when you're trying to delve out beyond the double crochet. And I today want to make some cool projects with granny squares because sometimes I feel like people kind of view them as a little outdated or overused, but the granny square world is unlimited. There's so many things you can do and create. The options are really endless. So while I was initially inspired by these designs scrolling on Pinterest, when I saw these designs from Ulla Johnson's Spring 2024, I fell in love. So I thought it'd be fun to create something similar and show you guys the process along the way. We're keeping it classic with the original granny square, but the way that this is developed looks so much cooler than the normal granny square. So let's get into it. While I would love to do this colorway, I love it, the blue and the brown. I happen to have a lot of leftover yarn from this one crochet project I did, and ironically enough, it's almost the exact same colors as the design. So, I mean, I think it's kismet, dare I say. Let's get into how to do it. So I already started by making a few. As you can see, it kind of grows a little bit out. So right now I've been just making this size of a granny square, the first round and then the second round, and that's it. And it goes by so fast. They're so quick and easy to make. And so my strategy going in, which might be different than yours, is to actually just do all the cream colored first and then go in with the red detail. Round one, round two, and then round three is just the red. And that's what makes it look connected all together. This is how the beginning of your project will look like. Like I said, I prefer doing all the whites first and then moving on to the red outline. So let's just keep on making some of these together. And I'll let you know how many I end up making. So as you saw in that last clip, I made a bunch of them. Here's how it looks without the red. And here's how it looks with it. It looks so pretty. So I'm just adding that red detail on right now. So I went to get lunch with my friend Ari. Ari, if you're watching this, I love you. The love is even more today. Look what she made me. She goes to do her ceramics and she thought of me. Don't make me cry. It's beautiful. It's glorious. It's a little flower. Let's continue crocheting. So if you look at the design closer to where the collar and the ends are, there are some half granny squares, quarter granny squares, and then also granny squares that aren't quite complete. Some half granny squares made and it's already fitting really well in with the entire top. Okay, I'm about to show you how the front looks. So the only other type of granny square you'll have to make during this video is this. Which basically, if you can see, it's literally just not finishing the top part of it. And that is to help fill out the circular shape that you're going to want on the neck. So this is how your front would be looking. And yet again, Bustard needs to be the center of attention. This is a quick little video of how I make my homemade syrup. This one's a carrot cake one. I posted a bunch of the recipes. We are making a cold foam on my Instagram if you want to go check them out. So I have my carrot cake coffee and let's keep on crocheting. Of the cream yarn, which is 50 grams, that's all the tank. The top is entirely made with that. And then I was able to make this many more of cream. So feeling pretty good about that. And then we're about to get started on this one. I am actually debating now if I should even do the middle squares of this top or just go directly into the large squares to create that little wishy-washy bottom because I just measured this length and it's already at 14.5 inches going down, which I feel like if I do middle-sized granny squares and then large-sized granny squares, that might move into tunic territory, and I don't know if I want that or not. And now I'm like, wouldn't the matching skirt be so cute with it? But no, I mustn't. I think I just want to do the top, unless you guys want me to do the skirt too, and then maybe I'll do it. Feeling crazy. So I just texted my mom asking about what I should do, and I don't know how I didn't process this, but I could just remove some of the smaller granny squares and then begin the medium granny squares earlier, which I think is what I want to do because I do like the growth from small, medium to large rather than just from small to large. So if you saw that last clip and that was your immediate thought, do not fret. So all I'm doing right now is starting to make some medium-sized granny squares. Despite the trees looking so green, the weather's finally starting to feel like fall. I can't help but venture out once in a while for a fun coffee despite making some really yummy homemade drinks. In this case, it was a s'mores and banana bread latte. Cheers. I have neglected to record a lot of what I've been doing because it's super boring. Sewing in just sewing all the granny squares together, which to be honest, that's one thing I always forget, which is making granny squares very easy. Sewing granny squares together, a horrendous process. Because of course you're sewing in basically every single side of the square together, so it feels virtually impossible. It's a new day and I'm still weaving in ends. This time they're actually connected, which is a lot more satisfying than just weaving in the granny squares on their own, as you saw what I was doing the other day. I'm curious to know what you guys do. I know some people like to weave in ends the second they finish a single square. I, as you can obviously tell, do all my granny squares first, then weave them in after, and I don't know which is the better route to do. But for me, I think I'm always going to stick with the latter. I made myself an iced Americano, and on the topic of iced Americanos, if you want to know what your fashion inspo is based off your coffee order, I made this super fun video, and a lot of you guys seem to like it, so I was really happy to see that because it was really fun for me to make. And I've been thinking about making one for zodiac signs, so that way I can definitely actually include everyone. Whereas for the coffee orders, I did a whole range from like matchas to teas to coffees. So I think that might be perfect. Who knows? Maybe I'll have posted that before I end up posting this one because at the rate I'm moving, it'll be a year.
Looking?
Yeah. Dan. I always one day I will get a better microphone so I can actually clip it onto my clothing and just rant at the camera while I'm sewing in the ends. For now, it's me and Tiny Mike against the world. Anyway, it's still in the works. What I do need to do is once I finish weaving the ends, I get to do the collar work. I haven't looked up the price of what the designer like top is and skirt, but anything they're pricing it at is not enough. Because this is taking forever. The granny squares were easy to make. It's the process of weaving in all the ends. Also, like as you get bigger, obviously they take a little bit more time. And I didn't even do the full extent of how many they made, to be honest. I think it's because my yarn was a little bit thicker. I'll get more into details of what I did differently once I finish it for you guys, so you can figure out how you want to make yours, and if you maybe want to do like a thinner thread, a thicker thread, if you want to make it longer, if you want to turn it into a dress, we can gab about that. The funniest part about me setting up this clip was the camera was focusing on my face and then also focusing on Darren Chris, which I love. I finished sewing in the frickin' ends, but now I have to figure out how to make the collar. And so typically I would crochet it in, like starting from here, but as I did it, you could very clearly like see you were seeing these weird demarcations on it, and I didn't like it, especially because the image has the collar placed so seamlessly, like it doesn't even look like it was crocheted in a way. So I decided to do it separately and then sew it in. I think it might have a better result. I'm doing slip stitches right now. So close, but so far away from being done. Okay, time for the final reveal. I can't believe how well this turned out. So much effort was put into it, so I'm so happy to see that the payoff was worth it. So here's some details of what I did. These are the essential granny squares that you'll need. This is the main granny square that you'll be using. So it's 3 rounds. Next size that you'll need, granny square of 4 rounds. Your next granny square, which is the biggest one of course, is your granny square of 6 rounds. And then these are your 2 odd ones out. Similar to our little 3x3 granny square from before, you'll have to make a couple that look like this, which is basically going along the round of the third and then not completing the 4th edge. And then your other funky one, a half granny square. This is super important because this helps make that actual collar shape on top. Okay, now that you have the pieces, let's go into construction. So this is a first look of your layout with just the small and medium granny squares. And I really just wanted to show it to you guys so you could understand how that little collar shaping is going to look on top. Well, thanks for hanging out with me, guys. So, some differences that I made from the original design. I did a slip stitch that was just 2 rows, so it's a lot thinner, and I have more of a low scoop rather than higher up. And also, I ended up really liking just using one large granny square rather than the 2. But if you're someone who loves, that flowy and poofy silhouette, I think then definitely adding 2 granny squares per bottom would be perfect. Obviously, the full influence and inspiration comes from Ulla Johnson. So this was so fun to make. Obviously, it's granny square, so I just wanted to give you kind of the idea of the granny squares for the mini tutorial, but not go too much in detail. And let me know if you end up making one for yourself, or if you have any other granny square inspiration that you've been wanting to get into this fall. One subscribe equals one garlic pillow for you to hold tonight. And with that, I hope you have a lovely day.